another wrestling fan open mic night. A review from Gavin Knotts, your favorite part-time podcast host. The YouTube channel that's bringing you the news. If you like wrestling and you like people who talk about wrestling, Gavin Knotts is here for you. And tonight, Gavin Knotts is going to host another wrestling fan open mic night, where he shares his opinions on wrestling. A wrestling view. Gavin Knotts is going to host another wrestling fan open mic night, where he shares his opinions on wrestling.
Hi guys, hope you like the new intro. I like the music the way I've done it. I hope you like it too, because at the end of the day, why does my chair creak so bloody much? It sounds like I'm breaking wind sometimes. I can assure you I'm not. I'm not full of gas. But anyway, I digress on my flatulence. I want to talk about professional wrestling. You know, end of the day, I enjoy talking about professional wrestling. I want to have started another YouTube channel to talk about professional wrestling because at the end of the day, I enjoy talking about wrestling the most honest way as possible. No one's right, no one's wrong. I'm not saying my opinions are always right. I'm not saying your parents' opinions against mine are always wrong. End of the day, just comment down below. Tell me your thoughts towards professional wrestling as of late, or Monday Night Raw as in a whole, or what I'm going to be talking later on in this upload is about my thoughts and opinions towards the wrestlers that are signed with WWE from AAA Wrestling. Sorry, not signed with WWE. We've got to say this in a polite term. Signed with TKO. You know, I'll give you my honest 2 cents on that. That's coming up on this upload alongside, obviously, my thoughts and opinions. What's happened on Monday Night Raw. Now, going into this Monday Night Raw, I want to point something out to every one of you guys, right? We started off the show with Elo Scott. Not a fan of that segment at all. Okay? You are starting to build towards that Women's Evolution pay-per-view, PPP, PLE, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Great start to the upload, I must say. But I just want to say that was just pointless, right? Then we actually had main event Jey Uso come out with the world title. You know, I know he's over as crazy. You don't need to tell me. What? You're going to tell me again? Yeah, he's over as crazy. But I just want to say this, right? For him to work as a single wrestler to adapt to it was a massive risk. And I'll say this as a polite way of saying it. It was a massive risk for WWE. It's pulled off, don't get me wrong. But guys, do not get me wrong on this. But then you literally had Paul Heyman interrupt him and saying his piece, why he turned on CM Punk, why he turned on Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns technically turned on him because he went on holiday and all this palaver. Don't get me wrong, I thought, I'm not being funny, but I'm surprised that they didn't chant, towards Paul Heyman. I'm surprised they didn't chant, don't have a heart attack, please don't die, or something like that, because he literally went to town on that promo. And it was a freaking incredible start to the show, you know? First incredible start to the show. On Monday Night Raw, I could not fault it, you know? It felt passionate. We felt the passion. We felt the energy. My God. The way Paul Heyman feeds off the crowd is living proof of that promo. He's so good on the mic. Yet, main event Jey Uso technically did not know what to say, other than to have Paul Heyman ruffle his feathers that much. He was saying that pretty much wanted Jey Uso to fall for the trap, which he did. He fell for the trap. That you literally had him turn around and says, how about tonight? I'll put my title on the line tonight for Seth Rollins. That was my blatant term of it. I'm not reenacting this at like at stupid o'clock in the morning, near 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, you really want me to shout the way I used to on YouTube back in 2010? I've got new neighbours now. I don't want to piss these off. It's bad enough me staying up watching Monday Night Raw and giving you my thoughts and opinions on it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to wake up my neighbours. I don't want to piss them off. But that was an unbelievable start of Monday Night Raw. You know what? It's a refreshing change when I watch how Raw was tonight compared to how it's been in past weeks. And then we actually had Jordan Devlin. I'm still calling him Jordan Devlin. Do not shoot me for it. Right? A match against Penta. With Penta getting the victory. The problem is you are building to, like I've said in many of my reviews, you are future-proofing yourself. You're building something. Okay, you're building towards Worlds Collide. What are you going to build after that? You're going to build Triple A Mania, right? TNA is meant to be rumored and speculation involved with that. Put them with Worlds fucking Collide. It makes sense. If you got a working relationship, do that, please. But Penta got the victory. It's literally, it just shows you what they can actually do. I'm not sure if it was shortly after this part with this that you literally had Sheamus versus Austin Theory because Wallace basically put him up for Austin Theory as a mystery opponent. Didn't realise it was Sheamus. It's great to see Sheamus back, don't get me wrong. Absolutely fantastic. But what's his attire these days? All red? Oh, yeah, because of Liverpool. Yes, we get the point. But what's with the WWE logo? Is that just the cover of the Liverpool logo? The weird thing is, right? I never get the American crowds. I get the UK crowds, but I don't get the Americans. No disrespect to you guys that is watching this. With Sheamus getting the victory against Austin Theory, okay, I thought that was actually an okay match, but fans were chanting, "This is awesome for this." I don't get it, right? I'm going to say this, right? I'll be honest with you. At the moment, WWE is not actually had any star power. Yes, Seth Rollins is star power on Monday Night Raw. I get that. But he's not pulling power that you want to... I know he wants to be in the main event scene. But this was a massive... These past few Raws that we've had since Mania, you threw Seth Rollins in the deep end to see if he can handle it himself. Handle it the way Raw is. Instead of having these sort of main event stars. Over the main event, Jey Uso. Doesn't make any sense. I don't mean him. I mean, you don't have the likes of Cody Rhodes. You don't have the likes of Roman Reigns that WWE's built up. The likes of CM Punk for numerous of weeks. We've not seen him tackling since Mania, if I recall. And to throw Seth Rollins to carry this show, I give him full pops. That's one thing I forgot to mention, like when I've actually gave you my thoughts and opinions on Monday Night Raw these past couple of weeks. And for him to carry that show, okay, fair enough. The thing what interests me the most out of what I've seen tonight, you look at the way Karrion Kross was doing that. He's sort of teasing his own faction. Now that interests me. Could this be building towards Survivor Series? Where you'll actually finally have the likes of Paul Heyman and his crew, Seth Rollins, Braun Baker, etc., versus the likes of Karrion Kross. We have another faction forming, but don't rush it. it seems like they're not rushing it, which is a freaking good thing. Even though I want Karrion Kross in the ring, but I'm glad they're not rushing it as such. I'm hoping the likes of AJ Styles sort of thing is materialized through that. You know, him joining forces with AJ. They've sort of teased it since WrestleMania. I've just thought, what happens if Logan Paul actually joins Paul Heyman? That'll be an interesting one. But one thing when I'm talking about AJ, right? I'm annoyed in a way Penta versus Dominic Mysterio for the IC title is going to be at Backlash. I wanted AJ there. But we're technically not getting that because they're future-proofing themselves. So AJ Styles wants technically the IC title if Penta doesn't win at Backlash, if I'm not mistaken. You know? So that's what I mean. It's just such an eye-opener that, yeah, fair enough. AJ's gunning for a title. Wouldn't technically no build, other than dropping hints towards it tonight. Or last week. You know, I feel like, in a way, Dominic Mysterio could actually have a fantastic match with AJ. Same with Penta. You know, they're already teasing the likes of Finn Balor versus AJ Styles again. I don't mind that if it makes sense. You built it up like at TLC a few years ago, and Finn Balor dropped hints for WrestleMania, and it never materialized for the Too Sweet 2 match or whatever it was. If anyone else can remember those backstage segments, that was a dream match for the ages, and we've not heard it since. You know, I loved that match. It was one of my favorite matches that WWE put on. You know, that technically, hard to explain how I felt when I watched that match. I had goose pimples, my hair was standing on the back of my neck. You know, it's rare to have those feelings when it comes to professional wrestling. Sorry, my ear's itching. But I've got to say, looking at that, and I'm thinking, okay, it's kind of annoying. It really is. I didn't mention that before. Then Lyra and Becky face to face. Right? Why is Becky seem so weak as a heel these days? She used to go off the rails completely to the point where now she's looking at Lyra, comparing her to recycling, to garbage. Why don't you say taking out the trash? Why are you saying garbage? I know Americans don't judge me on this, but I know you guys say it, but I'm not being funny. Go off the rails. You know, look at Tiffy and Charlotte. They went off the rails. You know, got people invested into that match even more. I did, but the match didn't deliver at Mania. Sorry. Bite me. But at least Lyra was not backing down. You know? Yeah, they had a brawl. You would expect them to brawl. But the one thing I never freaking get, when it comes to women brawling, it's always officials, like referees. You don't have anyone from backstage out the women's locker room to split them up. You don't have them through the women to split them up. You don't have security to split them up, like female security. Well, security, if you know what I mean. But it's always like referees. As far as I can remember, it's always been referees. Which is kind of stupid in itself. You know, don't get me wrong, this segment would have been a lot better if Becky swore. But I think the reason why she's not swearing is because of her daughter being backstage. But it just feels like WWE's gone to the PG era once again. But don't get me wrong, it was a good segment to a point, but yeah, and you can tell this is another female-dominated show to plug Evolution to get people to start backing the women. So then you literally got Elo Sky versus Roxanne Perez. I literally thought that was a good match. Sky got the victory, Elo Sky. But the attack, at least one thing, there was no interference in the match. But you literally had it after the match. And then you build up later on in the show, confirmed and an official for a tag team match between whoever's been attacking each other. Rhea Ripley, Julian, Roxanne Perez, and Elo Sky, you build up a tag team match. But the catch is, you're doing it for fucking next week on Monday Night Raw. Put that on the PLE. So far, this PLE is not interesting me, even though I want to watch it. I want it to prove me wrong. Then you built up so much about Rusev coming back. Guess who he's facing on his first match, boys and girls? Who is? Did I hear or did I not hear the crowd going, "This is awesome for this match"? Tell me in the comments down below. I don't know why they brought Rusev back. I really do not. It makes no fucking sense. No disrespect to him. I do respect him for what he's done in the wrestling business. And that's just me being honest. Then you look to another promo time, which is hogging a lot of time. Don't get me wrong, Pat McAfee is good on the mic. Really good on the mic. But you forget he's an announcer. Nothing special, no disrespect. Nothing special. But you're building this feud up between you and Gunther. You're really trying to get the fans. Pat McAfee is trying so hard to get the fans behind him to quote different sports, different this, different that, from where the show is actually broadcast tonight. Then he went personal. He's good on the mic, but he's not good in the ring. And keep in mind, he's facing the former world champion, which is not cashed in his rematch clause, let alone they do not, but they use it as and when, I've noticed with WWE as of late, with the rematch clause. So we've got to deal with Pat McAfee and Gunther at Backlash. It's an interesting match, but why? That's what I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been good on the mic. Pat McAfee has actually made the best out of building this. Gunther's just been Gunther. Been quite weak compared to how he has been. Then we actually have the main event. Right? Is it the main event that we have? Then obviously, yeah, we did have the main event, sorry. 1 minute. I'm trying to have a stretch here. I do apologise. My arms just gone literally completely dead on me. How dare it? Then we had the main event. Main event, Jey Uso putting his title on the line because he fell for the trick that Paul Heyman literally planted the seed sort of thing earlier on in the show. And Seth Rollins, back to basic Seth Rollins. Not that is a flamboyant outfit. I look at this. Good, solid main event. I've not seen Raw this solid. The crowd was behind it, but it seemed like it ended in no contest or ended in disqualification. So there was no title change, you know, because CM Punk, Sami Zayn came out to make the same sort of thing. Then you literally had the likes of CM Punk come out with a chair, started attacking the likes of Seth Rollins, swinging for the fences. It was, I'll say this and I'll be honest with you, it was a clusterfuck towards the end. It felt like it was going to be a carbon copy of WrestleMania, was it WrestleMania 40? With the likes, you had people coming out to, it had that sort of same feel. Why have you wasted this match on a Monday Night Raw with no technically build? Even though, yes, you planted the seed sort of last week, I think, what they were going to plan. Then put the plan in action this week, but it's kind of backfired. But the problem is, why didn't you do this at Backlash? Because by the looks of it, at Backlash, when it comes in 5 days' time, we've got Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. What would have been more superior than having fucking Logan Paul being on the pay-per-view to do that? It should have been the other way around. It would have been nice if you had the likes of Logan Paul. You would have literally had Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. It made sense because you technically builded that from last week, but no, you've only literally given Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, the title run. Don't get me wrong, but the way it ended, you ended the Raw like that. It would have been nice if main event Jey Uso had the pin victory after all that kerfuffle, that actually clusterfuck at the end. It would have made more sense. You know, it frustrates me. It really does. You had the crowd backing this event. You've woke them up. You woke them up. Because you look at the way it's been recently. The crowd has been mediocre at best. You've not had this is awesome chance on a Monday Night Raw in a long time. Like, since obviously you've had it like prior to Mania. I mean, like this, the past couple of weeks, I mean. So you can sit there and think, oh yeah, this was good. You look at that end of the main. No. You could have let Jey Uso have the victory to prove that plan didn't work to plan what Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins had planned in place. If it ended in DQ or no contest, I can't remember which, because everything was a mess and the camera weren't anywhere to be seen where it needed to be. You end the show like that. Why? I've said this and I'll say it again. Why the hell did that main event not be on the likes of Backlash? It was a solid freaking match. This is why I feel like WWE, with all the events they've got like building up towards, in a short space of time, how are you going to literally build up a storyline to go PLE, 2 nights on SummerSlam? You've got obviously to build the likes of Saturday main event. You're building these storylines week by week, and you've got too many shows too close together. You've even got Saudi Arabia next month into Night of Champions. It'd be nice if to see where this so-called Crown Jewel Championship is going to be defended, to say it's meant to be defended in Saudi Arabia, even though Crown Jewel is literally in Australia this year. You know, because they said it's going to be defended in every year. at Saudi Arabia by the holders and then do a tournament to face the holders of the last year to this year, and then vice versa. Like then every year onwards. But they've got night champions. Are they going to literally have that title defended night champions? Sometimes I wonder where was WWE's logic, but that's just my thoughts. So, shall we start talking about my thoughts and opinions towards the signees from AAA? You're right, guys. I just want to get this out there that I'm not a fan of these AAA wrestlers being signed for WWE or TKO, whatever you want to class it as. Because at the end of the day, AEW gets criticized by when they sign a new wrestler to take the shine away from certain wrestlers. But then again, WWE do that as well. Now, here's the problem where it lies when it comes to AAA. All right, you signed X amount of wrestlers just only within 48 hours of you making these releases. The thing is, when you see you got budgeting cuts to make every year, which I'm not being funny, do not use that as an excuse. Because if you're making budget cuts while you are buying out another company to sign their wrestlers under the TKO umbrella, and what are you going to do? What are the hell are you going to do with all these wrestlers? Yeah, you may be promoting Worlds Collide, but what are you going to do afterwards? You're going to keep sort of AAA the same? No, I've already talked about you're forcing them to speak English. You are changing the landmark of their product, what they have built up themselves. It's bad enough when people say, well, AEW literally bought out Ring of Honor. But the thing is, I'm not being funny. No disrespect to Ring of Honor. In the last few years of its existence before AEW bought it, not many people talked about it because WWE whipped up those talent that people were talking about, the likes of Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, etc., etc. When they lost their big names to the juggernaut that WWE claims to be. So even though AEW bought the rights to it, at least one thing, Ring of Honor is still on air. Yeah, people may criticize the product compared to how it once was. But with Ring of Honor, they didn't have that much credibility as it once had. And that's just me being honest. So you look at the way WWE are doing things. And I feel a little bit hard done by for the people that have been released, and now you are signing these AAA wrestlers to the TKO umbrella, the likes of Alberto Del Rio. Why bring him back? If you're leaving AAA the way it is, okay, leave it the way it is. That's fine. Let him speak Mexican, etc., etc., etc. But no, you're going to change it. We know you are. You're going to put a golden coat of paint over what they stand for and stand by. Because the company's sold out to a big money contract to buy out AAA. But the catch is that I want to point this out. All right, I've got a feeling Paige will not ever come back to the WWE now. If she ever came back, she's got to face Alberto Del Rio with their personal issues. And you really want that wrath happening? Why do you not see Charlotte Flair around when Andrade is around on the product? You've got to think logically. Right, all these releases they've done in the last 48 hours. The last 48 hours. And then you literally sign in all these wrestlers. So you can't quote budgeting cuts. The thing is, you're gonna have probably the same problem with the likes of AEW, and this is me being honest with AEW. They've got so many roster members, they don't know what to do with them. This is why I said that Dark Elevation should come back and use as its own entity towards the AEW umbrella. Now, if you are planning to bring these Mexican wrestlers that you've signed from AAA to the main roster and overshadow what you currently have, what you've built up, what people have built up to know, they'll lose interest. And don't quote about, oh, wrestling's a business and all this lot. I'm sorry, but they're a billionaire company. I could understand if it was an independent show. So for me, to see this the way it is, I'm not for it. It's going to be such a mistake for them to do so. And doing this, yeah, tickets may sell well, fine. But what you are going to do with all these wrestlers, let alone you've got that many wrestlers on the AAA brand as on its own, and you're literally going to put them on what? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, ID, Evolve, main event, Saturday night main event. You get what I mean? Yes, fair enough. The WWE has that many shows under their umbrella. Did I count NXT as well? If I did, I do apologise if I didn't. So you're going to put all these Mexican wrestlers, make them overshadow what you've literally got people backing. After the demise when Vince McMahon was in power, the amount of decline in tickets, the amount of script writing went in, it's all, I feel that decline is going to happen again. I've got that really gut feeling. Because you know me honest opinions. If you don't know me honest opinions towards Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, please check out my reviews on Wrestling Fan Open Mic Night. It's in my description via Linktree. Click there and you'll get a direct link to the channel. You'll see my frustrations. I briefly talk about them here on TikTok, but I do more in depth over there. But I've got to say this, I'm not looking forward to this deal at all. Because it's going to harm what AAA built up. It's going to harm what WWE built up. You look at the roster that we've had for the past how many weeks now since Mania. You know, this is going into the second week after Mania. Is it, or is it the third? You think we've not had no big names? We didn't have Drew McIntyre on SmackDown last past week. We didn't have no CM Punk. We didn't have no Roman Reigns. We don't have those pulling power names that you see week in, week out. Yeah, people entitled to rest, even Cody Rhodes. But you don't have that pulling power. I know why you're doing it, to make people focus on what's coming in the future. But it frustrates me. It really frustrates me as a wrestling fan to sit back and I'm thinking, okay, this is going into the new era that Triple H was on about. But what is causing this new era? With this new era, will Triple A go on, if they're staying that as a separate brand, will this end up being on Netflix or a YouTube video exclusive? You know, it just buggers me. It bugs the living hell out of me that you literally go to a company, buy them out, and if you buy out TNA, you got that roster members. So what's the point of the people that you release from contracts if they end up in TNA, they end up under Oh yeah, a WWE contract. Sorry, TKO contract. There's a difference. Sorry, before anyone jumps down my throat. It's weird to think that they're doing the same thing what they did years ago. Instead of putting all those eggs in one basket, which they probably will do, they'll have the same problem what AEW has. So many talent, they don't know what to do with them. They'll release them, WWE snap them up, and then WWE druids will literally come and attack AEW fans like, oh, we've got Penta, oh, we've got Aleister Black now back in WWE, yay! Where was you? You meant to support the wrestler, not because they've gone back to the brand that you watch. You got to support the wrestler through and through. But the massive catch is, what are they going to do with all this roster members they've just signed? Is it going to make the product exciting, worth watching? If people are dubbing this as the worst WrestleMania in over a decade, imagine what the rest of the year is going to be like. Even though, yes, we're still going to watch it. But you got to understand how frustrating it is. You want die-hard fans of wrestling money to buy into tickets, yeah, but you're giving it to more for the casual fan. Let alone, I would say this, for the less of casual fan at the moment. Because I feel like you don't know what you're doing with Raw or SmackDown at the moment. No, and that's just me being honest. But I thought I'd give you my thoughts and opinions on this. But why? All about the money, is it? Greed? Just actual greed? So the reason why you are buying all these companies out, like AAA, possibly TNA at the end of the summer, because you are scared that AEW will end up getting talent to use. And the reason why I'm saying this, AJ Styles was a prime example of it. You were scared that AEW will get AJ Styles. And look what you've done with AJ Styles. You've not made him phenomenal. The fans made him phenomenal. You were that butthurt when you literally Josh Alexander from TNA didn't want to come to WWE. Why? Because he didn't want to be in NXT. Does he deserve NXT? No. That's why I say WWE is scared about AEW. There's a catch is when people say about working relationships, at least one thing with at least with AEW, they know how to work with New Japan correctly. They don't force them to change anything. They don't force them to, how to put it, they don't force them to speak English. They don't force them to change the decor or logo or anything. That's what you call a working relationship. All I can say is WWE, just stop